Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw, December 16th, 2024. But before we get into that, let's get the house cleaning out of the way. Shari, I'm to leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. And, of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, another episode of Monday Night Raw again. I really do feel like they finally grasp the concept of the 2 hours, and they are just flying by. I mean, this was just another week where it really did. It just flew by. Like, by the time we got to the main event of the World Tag Team Championship match, I was like, wow, we're already here. And that is just a testament to how good the content has been going through. Now, of course, in a couple weeks, we are going to go back to 3 hours, and I think that's still the right move to make, but, it's still going to be another adjustment period trying to get to that. I think the first Raw on Netflix is going to be fine because they are going to stack it so much. But, it's just after that, once okay, we had the big show, and now we're going through all these things, trying to adjust those 3 hours is going to be really interesting to see, but it's going to be a really stacked roster on there. So let's get into this week's episode of Raw, which was a part 1 of a part 2 double taping. We've talked about it multiple times. We're not going to continue to talk about it. Let the talent have their rest. Next week is Christmas week. Let them have their time with their families. And then afterwards, then they get back to work. And, whatever's going to make the talent happy and much more healthier, that's all I am there for. So we are going to kick off with the Intercontinental title match with Ludwig Kaiser versus Braun Breaker. Very good match. It looked like Braun Breaker worked baby in this one a little bit. He had to fight from behind, had the arm injury, and he was selling a little bit. I saw a lot of people complaining that Braun Breaker was selling and that they don't really want to see Braun Breaker sell. And to a degree, I understand that. I do, but I think Braun Breaker is like such an anomaly where he could just do anything. I honestly wanted to see Braun Breaker sell a little bit more. I want to see this side of him. I want to see him come from behind. I saw him in NXT a little bit, but he has on the main roster just been like this monster, and I wanted to see if the audience would react to him having to fight from behind, and they did. And I think this is also a testament to what Ludwig Kaiser has been able to put into as far as his in-ring work wise. Now, we definitely need to make him a mid-card champion at some point in 2025, whether that be the U.S. or the Intercontinental champion. It's just really going to be interesting on when we pull that trigger, because, man, this boy can go. And he's pretty decent on the mic, too. It's just, do we do it when he is with Imperium? Is it when they do break up? I don't think we automatically shoot him up to the main event scene. Do I think he could get there? Absolutely. But the back and forth that they were going on, he did good working as the heel angler. Braun Breaker did good working as the face, working and selling the injuries all the way through. I liked how even when he did a big move and he connected it, he immediately went back to the arm and he was hurting from it because he was selling it so well. Very good stuff, and I like that there was a clear winner and a clear loser. This was one of those matches where I was like, the both are upcoming. They don't want to make either of them look weak. So I was kind of sitting there waiting for Sheamus to show up or someone to come in to cause a DQ, and then, that's the direction that we go in. But nope, this was a quick program. Someone won, someone lost, just like in sports. Okay, now they move on to their next direction. Where does Ludwig go from here? I do not know, but I am curious to see where he does end up moving forward, and then Braun Breaker is again going to get a new challenger, and then we'll go off for the races there. As for who I think it could be, I think it's too early to go back to Sheamus. You can't do a Drew McIntyre. You can't do a Sami Zayn. You can't do Jey Uso because they're all occupied with each other. Maybe you do a New Day. Maybe we do Braun Breaker as just the baby face for a little bit, although I am really kind of wanting the New Day to take the tag team titles from the War Raiders, especially after such the good feeling that we had, and everything that we're doing with the New Day is absolutely great too. But yeah, can't really think of anyone who is a valuable next man up when it comes to Braun Breaker, when it comes to the mid-card scene. But hey, that's where the transfer portal comes in. It would be pretty wild if it's LA Knight who comes in, and then, that's our Mania program, LA Knight versus Braun Breaker for the IC title. Inject that into my veins, baby. But yeah, we'll move on from the men's Intercontinental Championship scene to the women's Intercontinental title scene. Chelsea Green is the first U.S., but now we got to find who's going to be the first women's Intercontinental champion. Another triple threat match. And is it time that we just have the conversation that WWE needs to stop on triple threat matches for a good while, because we had a good chunk of them in 2024, and I don't know if it's just because both of these tournaments are so the same, because again, we had the triple threat matches, and then we had the semis, and then we had the finals when it came to the women's, and we're doing the same thing here. I just think I'm burnt out when it comes to triple threats, because this by far means a bad triple threat. It was fine for what it was. It's just that I've seen this formula so many times at this point, because we had triple threat matches every single week, and we have one more next week as well. And then we only had that one bye last week on SmackDown where we had the 2 semis. So this is now 4, 5, 6. This is now 7 weeks in a row with only 1 week in between that I've seen a triple threat. And I just think I'm over it at this point. I am fine with Zoe Stark winning. Yeah, sure, the finish wasn't great. And by all means, it was bad. We'll just call it what it was. But hey, those things are going to happen. And again, the match was fine for what it was. It's just I've seen it so many times, and I just got one more to go through. And I think, hey, let's have a break from triple threat matches until maybe Mania. I do think it is inevitable we get at least one triple threat at WrestleMania 41, but just hold it off on all the Raws and SmackDowns and NXTs until we get to April. At this point, it's kind of where I'm sitting at when it comes to it. Because yeah, they just all feel the same, and I just don't know what more commentary I can give to it that I haven't already said multiple times before. But yeah, Zoe Stark gets to move on. It is now Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark in the semifinal. And then, Pure Fusion Collective also attacked Kairi Sane. I guess she's going to be out. We're going to insert Io Sky into the final triple threat match next week against Natalya, and I cannot remember who the third one is. But yeah, that I'm assuming Io Sky is going to take over that too, and then we'll see where that goes. Maybe we'll do Zoe Stark versus Io in the final, since we have some storyline development being built there. But also, Zoe Stark's facing Dakota Kai, and I really do think, well, building to a Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria final where we just have 2 good guys and 2 people in the middle, and let's just see who wins on the first Raw on Netflix. But yeah, again, that's really all I can give to it. I'm looking forward to things that we're doing in the future when it comes to it. It's just this first round with these triple threat matches, I'm just kind of burnt out on it at this point. And, that's none of the talent's fault. That's just, where the plan is that we went. If we would have done something a little bit different for the IC title, I think I could give much more excitement and much more commentary than what I am giving. But, it's the same old that we did on SmackDown. And I think that's something that we need to look into when we go into 2025, especially with both shows being 3 hours. We need clear differences from these shows, as opposed to one being red and one being blue. Whether that be one be more focused on wrestling and one be more focused on promos and cinema, if you will. Or whether that be, hey, if we're going to do a tournament on this brand that's not King and Queen of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring, go ahead and keep them the same tournament style. But, if we're going to do, something for the women's US title, let's not do the same thing for the women's Intercontinental title. If we're going to do this storyline for the WWE tag team titles here on SmackDown, let's not do the exact same thing when it comes to the world tag team titles on Raw. We just need more dictation when it comes to SmackDown and Raw, when it comes to these smaller titles. I think for the main event scene on both the men and the women, we're doing fine. But those smaller titles in the middle of the card are the ones that seem to fall the most. But yeah, we'll move on from that, and we'll head straight into the women's world title scene. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley are going to have that final match. We all knew that was going to be the plan going through. And for the most part, hey, as long as it ends in 3 weeks, I just like how when Rhea Ripley came in and said, Liv, shut up. Look, this needs to end. I'm like, okay, at least everyone is aware. It's not just us as an audience that needs to end. So I am willing to go 3 more weeks. I am. As long as this ends on the first Raw on Netflix, maybe the Rumble. I'm pretty sure they confirmed it for the Raw on Netflix, but I'm not sure if they did. But if they didn't, then, the latest the Rumble. But after that, these two gotta split. And they gotta go on their own way. Let this be, hey, this is the final chapter, because I really am hoping it's the Raw on Netflix, This is the final chapter. Loser leaves Raw. Like, let's just make it as clear as possible. The loser is leaving the SmackDown, and that they will stay away from each other by all means, at least for a year. They just need to be on different brands for a year, and then they can rekindle whatever they're gonna do. But yeah, I like, for the most part, hey, this needs to end. Yeah, sure, it was the best line of the night where Rhea called Dominic a chicken tender slut, and I'm just like, well, who isn't? Like, I'm a slut for chicken tenders. I ain't afraid to admit it. It's like, you're saying it as an insult, and Dom is selling like an insult, but I would be like, you goddamn right I am. That I am a slut for chicken tenders. But let's get into the New Day. One of the best things going. I thought, hey, we peaked, they healed. They turned heel. Now what's next? What are they going to do? We're still doing this slow burn. And now we're even going back to something that happened in real life where The Miz got kicked out of the locker room. And we're like, hey, let's play that and use that into actual storylines. And we are getting Rey Mysterio kicked them out. And he's the locker room leader. He goes, look, guys, it's probably best that you just don't change in here anymore. Y'all need to find your own way. And they're just like, whatever. And, people hate the New Day this much. Love everything that they're doing with it. These are types of segments we don't normally talk about on this channel. We usually save for the big stuff. As you get a gist, if you're brand new here, I go by, okay, here's the IC title scene. Here's the women's world title scene. We usually keep it to those things. And, when it comes to the men's main event title scene, then, we do spread off from there because those are usually where the bigger players are. But man, I just had to talk about it a little bit because I just like everything that we're doing with the New Day, and it's just so interesting, it's so new, and it's so fresh, and it's doing very, very good stuff. I also really like what we're doing with Karrion Kross and The Miz. Like when they won, I was like, okay, it's probably a little too soon for the Wyatts to lose, but I am liking, hey, we are building to something here. And that it is being showcased every week now, because sometimes the Wyatts show up and then they take a week off and then they come back again, and then so on and so forth. It's like this big sense of whiplash. Same thing with Chad Gable and the Alpha Academy too, where, hey, now he's going to go back to Otis. Maybe we'll build up first Raw on Netflix, Otis versus Gable, this long-awaited match that we needed, that we wanted for so long. It's probably a little too late to do it, but hey, it's better to do it late than to never do it at all. And, same thing with Karrion Kross's group with the Wyatt Six. It's just, hey, we'll at least continuing on these mid-card storylines that we did. And that's really what made Raw so great when it was 3 hours, is that they were so good in the middle of the card, building these stories out and to keep them fresh, and the crowds keep making reactions to it. We're getting Dexter Lumis versus The Miz next week, which goes back like 3 years ago when Dexter Lumis was harassing The Miz, stalking him. This was one of the first programs where Triple H was using, hey, when you're backstage, look in the backgrounds and you can see where these are, where something is leading up to. That was probably the first experiment with that. That wasn't Bray Wyatt. So really curious to see where that's going to go through. Again, all these storylines in the undercard are very interesting to see. Yes, some are very, very late, like Chad Gable's, but the New Day one, to me particularly, is the one that is the most interesting going forward. And I just want to know who's going to be the first real proper feud, because everyone's going to be gunning for them. Like, it's going to be one of those things when it comes to the Royal Rumble and the New Day comes out, and whoever comes in and there's a bunch of people there, I'll be like, I don't even know, don't even go in the room yet until Kofi comes out, or don't even go in the ring until Xavier comes out, because you will get thrown out because everyone hates you that much for what y'all did. But yeah, good stuff just overall when it comes to not being involved in the title picture, just all around. And those are the things that make me have faith for when we go to the 3 hours moving forward. And then, our main event scene, World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther didn't really have much going on. I actually don't recall him doing anything at all. I think he had the week off. And then, but we did have the CM Punk and Seth Rollins match confirmed for Raw on Netflix. Good segment to kick off the show. It was just, a really good segment. Talked about it, blurring the lines between real and fake. Seth Rollins coming through the crowd like when he was in the Shield, when CM Punk brought Seth Rollins into it. I think there was a little like a double meaning there, like, hey, we're finally doing this, and I'm going to come through the crowd, kind of like how when I was first brought in under your wing, if you will, how CM Punk sees it anyway. And then he was going, yeah, just trying to see how the crowd see it. Nope, you're still an asshole, bickering to each other. Seth even calling Punk Phil and saying, I've main event in WrestleMania. and the way that they would just fight and brawl with each other, and then when they would separate and then chase each other. I mean, go far distances to get to each other. I'm just really excited for the match. I don't think that match is going to end clean, though. I think everyone needs to really subvert their expectations when it comes to this match because it's on Raw. And yeah, sure, they're building this Raw like a WrestleMania. We'll get in tribal combat. That match will have a finish one way or the other. Absolutely. We're going to probably have this Women's World Championship match on that Raw. That's going to be a feud in there, so there should be a winner. One of these big matches is going to have a cliffhanger, and it's going to end in DQ, or it's going to end in some interference where there's not a clean winner, or it's going to be a no contest, or it's going to be a count out. This is the match that's going to be it. This is not going to be one and done. There's going to be 3. And if you're going to do part 1 on a free Raw, I just don't see where this ends in a clean match. If it does end clean, that would be a swerve to me. So I'm excited for it, but I really wish round 1 was, like that Mania that was supposed to happen a year ago, where, okay, at least I know there will be a winner in some way, shape, or form. But this one, it just depletes me a little bit because, again, I don't expect a clean finish on this whatsoever at all. I don't care that they're building this up like a PLE. It's still Monday Night Raw, and there need a reason for people to tune in the following week. How do you do that? By shenanigans, one way or another. And with your 2 of your biggest stars, that's the match you do it because you don't want either to lose. And I don't think either would want to lose until it gets to a PLE. I think that's part of why they signed off to do this to begin with. But yeah, I think that was it for the main event scene. So now we'll get to the actual main event. For the first time in a long time, the World Tag Team Championships was the main event of the Judgment Day versus the War Raiders. Judgment Day is completely barred from ringside. And the I cannot talk today. And the War Raiders finally won the tag team titles. Hell yeah. Just hell yeah. And I like how we kept Finn strong as well. Damian Priest got involved. To me, it was catch-22, like we have big plans for Finn in 2025. Also, hey, the Judgment Day cheated to defend their titles against the War Raiders round 1. The War Raiders had help to win round 2. So all was fair in love and war, right? And then we'll have a round 3, which will probably be in a steel cage or something like that, which is like there's no interference whatsoever, and there's actually a true mano-a-mano. And then the War Raiders can retain, and then the New Day could come in and take the titles away off of them. Again, I don't need the War Raiders to go on the long reign. They could be monsters that really build up. I'm just glad that we have actual tag teams on both shows now who are actual true tag teams and will fight every single week. We did a little bit after Mania with A-Town Down Under and Awesome Truth, which I still don't get why everyone hated. But it got away, and that's more on booking than it was on the talent itself. And then, they became props for a faction. The WWE Tag Team titles with the Bloodline. World Tag Team titles with Judgment Day. And now we're back to, hey, actual tag teams are with it. There's an interest in it. People like the War Raiders. People like what we're doing with DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits. It just gives me hope when it comes to the tag division moving forward in 2025. And I think the story's just right there, man. New Day got kicked out of the locker room. How did they get back in? They win the tag team titles. You cannot not have champions in your locker room. And if that's the only way that they get it, and they get it by hook and crook and doing whatever it takes, like, look, you drove us to do this. You drove us to do this. You took us out of the locker room. And the only way for us to get back in was to win these titles. So, well, here they are, bud. Now, get out of the way and let me back in. I just think there's a really interesting story to be told there when it comes to the War Raiders and it comes to the New Day, especially with the promo that we put on with the War Raiders before when they were talking about their kids and the injuries that they had to go through, and they won it back in their hometowns. And just to have that reign in an amount of 45 days by the New Day, who are the biggest heels ever right now, like, honestly, they could probably get bigger reaction to Dom. They could probably get bigger reaction to Solo and Sikoa. It would give much needed heat to the tag team division over there on Raw. SmackDown's doing good right now. They have a good story being built between these 3 tag teams. Those 6 bodies, they're going to do good. They're going to carry that for a good solid 4 months. Let's do this story here over there. So yeah, overall, this episode of Raw was good. It gets me really excited for the future, and that's really what they need to do when it comes to these weekly shows. They want to make me tune in the following weeks, and that's exactly what I am going to do. Let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments. If you made it this far in the video, please leave a like. I do appreciate it when you do that, because it puts a smile on my face. And again, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. We got a bunch of plans heading your way in 2025, man. We really hope to get to that 500 subscriber mark in 2025. So help me get there by hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.